Hey guys, welcome to another update on our project. This week we've tackled the very basic beginnings of two enemies on screen at once, and we've done some more artwork for another section of the level. I'm coming to a head with this enemy stuff, and kind of the gameplay aspect is seemingly where I can, I guess, sort of see a finish line to where we're at with it in terms of to have the demo ready. But we're still got a lot of art assets to crank out. So I've focused a little bit more the past couple weeks on the art aspect to get the art pushed through. But we did do this. It was relatively not terrible to implement. I was concerned. There was an instance where I accidentally duplicated my player character, and you could see the player character was kind of like idling, but he was also mimicking um, the moves I would do based on the state machine in the animation blueprint, which meant like certain variables would flag off and he would do like a block, or he'd go into focus mode even though I wasn't controlling him. He was doing those things. So the enemy AI blueprint is set up similar to mine, so I was a little worried that that would cause issues with duplicating the character. It seemingly hasn't. We'll get into it, but the characters move independently. They behave independently, which is nice, and it seems to work okay. The gameplay has not caught up to two characters, so we have the focus mode and we can lock in on one character. What I'm thinking of doing, but I'm not trying to rush to this decision because it's um, kind of an important one. But what I'm thinking of doing is having like an outside block mechanic so that on the crosshair you can see other sections kind of light up that tell you it's coming from the outside and you're about to receive damage from the outside, so it's not your focused character. um we'll see how that looks. That might make it a little bit cluttered. My default position was just to have them their attack types to default to left or right. But I'm thinking that we might want to be a little bit more involved in that because it might just be too confusing if you get. Ideally, if you have three people attacking you at about the same time, all three of your things are going to light up. You're not going to know which one you should prioritize on. I think that's just too confusing of information. Whereas if you were having to have a separate outside damage indicator outside of that little three directional system, you can prioritize and understand what's going on. So I think that's mainly what we're going to do to it. We're going to have collision boxes on the character, and it's basically going to be if the enemy character is not targeted, meaning that you didn't select him and focused on him, it's one box will be to the left of Stinner, one box will be to the right of Stinner. So that's basically what that means is he attacking from the left or is he attacking from the right if he's not focused? And then you're going to have a separate attack category for outside of focus attacks. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about setting up here. I'm just kind of making sure in my head everything all kind of makes sense and all works out. So we can get into the gameplay here and we'll test it out and I'll show you how they kind of behave right now. Again, this is relatively early, but you can see this guy's in focus. This guy isn't yet. And they're kicking my ass. But you can see they're not mirroring each other, they're not mimicking each other. They're two separate entities using the same control techniques. Right now, it's still kind of easy to run away, even with two of them. I thought with two, they might be able to corner off. But it doesn't seem to want to work that way. It is possible to kill them both. I have done it a couple times. It's just a little tricky. The mechanics are still in a rougher stage here. I'm just too eager to get the shots in. Okay, one's dead. Create a little breathing room. Got a hit in. Creating distance. Keep at him. Got him. So yeah, there we go. You killed them both. Um, I've been playing another game and I've use right click, which is the focus mode, to rotate the camera. So I'm trying to rotate the camera while holding down the right click, which locks the camera in this game. So a little bit of noob gameplay there, but yeah, you can see how they operate a little independently. The gameplay doesn't quite work out. I'm super nice right now. I still got to figure out a solution with the second character, and I think that solution is, I think we're going to do, if you can see the widget here with the aiming system, we'll just have two little arrows on the top corners here between this one and between these two. And those are just like your outside attacks. I think that's probably the best answer. And we'll go from there. Up next is I'll show you some of the artwork. That's just a little bit of a bug. At one point in that gameplay sequence, it had issues accessing the controller. And I'm wondering if that has to do with the character dying or something, and then the controller disappears or something like that. It has trouble accessing the controller, but it doesn't affect the gameplay right now, so I'm not crazy concerned about it. So we got a dock system here. This is Slaver Bay. So we got a dock built in. Nice little entry point there. Some barrels, some lumber. We're going to add a lot more. This is very basic, bare bones stuff. But like I said, I feel like we're in a decent spot in the gameplay department, and we're going to get more gameplay stuff done every week. We'll chip away at it, but I want to kind of move my focus more now onto the art assets and get caught up. So this is a slave ship. It's got a nice little head ornament of skulls wrapped in there with a big wooden skull in the middle. It's kind of hard to see because of the lighting. Very harsh lighting, but it's there. Yeah, we have the backs there. I gotta fix this board here. I either gotta back it off or just remove it. I think I'm gonna try and back it off. Let's see if I can make it look better. But those wood textures look really nice. It's got a nice specular value to it, so you can see the difference in roughness. The lighting effects, it looks very, very cool. It's almost like a polish is wearing off, like you know how they get like the waxed wood that has kind of like that sheen to it, and it's kind of worn off. It's a nice setup. So yeah, that is the art aspect. I don't think we did too much over here. We optimized a little bit of stuff over here. But other than that, the castle's still, I think, the same. We got the log house in there. I think we removed it. Nope, we didn't. We got it still here. it's going to be likely moved. This is me testing the asset and the lighting and make sure it all works. We got our temporary cover here. We're going to do some more stuff with that as well. It's an interesting component for like the level design. One of my inspirations for the portable cover design in particular is just playing like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. They got really nice looking cover, really nice siege and war equipment. And we're working on getting this thing a little bit more optimized, a little bit more cleaned up, runs a little bit smoother. I mean, right now, it runs perfectly fine. I'm not having really any performance issues, but I also have a high-end PC, so I want to make sure this thing runs like absolute butter on this thing and can handle it all day, and then we'll worry about other stuff later. In the editor, it seems to be like there's some ever so slight, it's not too bad, but there's some ever so slight lag, but I think that's just because this is the editor. It's a little bit different than a actual runtime and rendering in game. So we're gonna add some more stuff. We're gonna optimize more, get this stuff cleaned up, because from a poly count perspective, this stuff's pretty low. I'm shooting for like Xbox One, PS4 game quality, so it should not be. It shouldn't be overwhelming. I modeled and modded for Skyrim, so I feel like if I can handle getting stuff to run on Skyrim, I should be able to handle whatever this is. And like our texture count is still really low. We're still using material instances and stuff like that. So our textures, I do not have a whole lot of textures being loaded right now in the game. And the more you can reuse textures, like that wood texture, those bark textures, the more you can reuse those textures, the less the less information on the game, the less it has to render. It's a lot easier for processing and rendering, and it's also just, it shrinks your file size down. No one wants to have a giant 100+ gigabyte download, right? So keeping all that intact. So yeah, that's what we've been doing for the past little bit. Implementing the AI and duplicating it. There was some issues with some friendly fire going on. There was a couple issues with some other stuff. But we fixed those pretty quick, and I'm surprised how smooth it runs. We just need to get some sort of thing in the game mechanic to compensate for multiple enemies, which was the plan all along. I just was thinking about having multiple, and you could see how they were kind of both flashing at once at that one point there, and I think that's a little too confusing. So we're gonna make something better than that, and we will catch you next week. Thanks for hanging out.